Finding local IP addresses using Python Stdlib. How can I find local IP addresses, i192.168.x.x or 10.0.x.x, in Python platform independently and using only the standard library?
I just found this, but it seems a bit hackish. However, they say tried it on *Nix and I did on Windows, and it worked. This assumes you have an internet access, and that there is no local proxy.
This won't work always. Returns 127.0.0.1 on machines having the hostname in /etc/hosts as 127.0.0.1. A palliative would be what Gimel shows. Use socket.getfn instead. Of course, your machine needs a resolvable hostname.
This method returns the primary IP on the local box, the one with a default route. Does not need routable net access or any connection at all. Works even if all interfaces are unplugged from the network. Does not need or even try to get anywhere else. Works with NAT, public, private, external, and internal IPs. Pure Python 2 or 3 with no external dependencies. Works on Linux, Windows, and OS X. Python 3 or 2. This returns a single IP which is the primary, the one with a default route. If you need instead all IPs attached to all interfaces, including localhost, etc., see something like this answer. If you are behind a NAT firewall like your Wi-Fi router at home, then this will not show your public NAT IP, but instead your private IP on the local network which has a default route to your local Wi-Fi router. If you instead need your external IP, running this function on that external device, Wi-Fi router, or connecting to an external service such as this URL, that could reflect back the IP as it's seen from the outside world. But those ideas are completely different from the original question. Happy smiley.
As an alias called myip. Works correctly with Python 2.x, Python 3.x, modern and old Linux distros, OS, macOS and Windows for finding the current IPv4 address. Will not return the correct result for machines with multiple IP addresses, IPv6, no configured IP address or no internet access. Reportedly, this does not work on the latest releases of macOS. Note, if you intend to use something like this within a Python program, the proper way is to make use of a Python module that has IPv6 support. Same as above, but only the Python code. This will throw an exception if no IP address is configured. Version that will also work on LANs without an internet connection. Thanks at Caesar. Background. Using socket.getHostByname, socket.getHostName, did not work here, because one of the computers I was on had an etc. hosts with duplicate entries and references to itself. Socket.getHostByname only returns the last entry in etc. hosts. This was my initial attempt, which weeds out all addresses starting with 127. This works with Python 2 and 3, on Linux and Windows, but does not deal with several network devices or IPv6. However, it stopped working on recent Linux distros, so I tried this alternative technique instead. It tries to connect to the Google DNS server at 8.8.8.8 at port 53. This method also works on the latest versions of macOS. Then I combined the two above techniques into a one-liner that should work everywhere, and created the myip alias and Python snippet at the top of this answer. With the increasing popularity of IPv6, and for servers with multiple network interfaces, using a third-party Python module for finding the IP address is probably both more robust and reliable than any of the methods listed here.
You can use the Netafaces module. Just type in your command shell and it will install itself on default Python installation. Then you can use it like this. On my computer it printed. Author of this module claims it should work on Windows, Unix, and Mac OS X.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.